Yeah, we were in the Eastern Front, in the Donbass region.
What was that like?
I have one word to describe, and it's just hell.
And why?
Because every day you're getting casualties, every day you're getting your friends getting killed, and it's days after days. Most of the missions, actually, it was just going to recover dead bodies of our friends that were killed in action. I see one of my friends dead, is not moving. He's not moving. He's just lying on the ground. He's dead. It's sure he's dead. Like there's no way to survive that. And then I looked to the other one. He was like just a couple of feet from me, and then he was still breathing but no legs. He didn't have any legs. And then we made eye contact. I looked at him. He looked at me. And then after that, his head just like started to move on his right, and you could see his body crisping and stuff. So he just like passed away in front of my eyes. So I was like, all right.
Throughout the war in Ukraine, there's been tons of foreign mercenaries who have been seeking a little bit more adventure in their life. Maybe reading off of Reddit forums and, playing Call of Duty all day and eating potato chips isn't an interesting enough life for them. So they've decided to go to Ukraine in support of Slava Zucchini and try to fight against the Russians. One such individual was a Canadian sniper. His name is Wally. That's how the media refers to him, just Wally. Wally is said to be the top sniper in the world. He fought with the Kurds in Iraq. And he has just returned from Ukraine with his good friend who also fought alongside him in the Donbass and in Ukraine. And they had some interesting words surrounding what they saw, what they experienced, and the lies surrounding the Ukrainian narrative about the war. Let's take a look at what they had to say. I'm sure it's not going to be shocking to you guys, but I don't know. Hopefully, maybe there's a few people watching now that will wake up to the fact that this mission in Ukraine is a U.S. proxy war, and it's a proxy war of the broader collective West, and there's no reason for us to be involving ourselves in it, and the Russians are winning, whether you like that or not. Okay? Let's see. ASB Military News reports Canadian best sniper in the world, Wally, ran back home from Canada from Ukraine after a Russian tank detected his position and fired a very accurate projectile. I watched it explode in front of me. It smelled like death. I pushed my luck too far. I'm lucky to be alive, he says. 2 people from his unit were killed by the projectile. Wally said he did not get a single kill, only fired 2 shots at windows. Said Ukrainian military has no food, no equipment, and soldiers are sent to fight without kit. This is an interview with Canada's La Presse. The interview was done in French, so I don't have a full translation for you. This is what I have, but we do have some really crazy stuff here. So basically, Canadian sniper Wally is back in his homeland after spending 2 months in Ukraine and Donbass. Like other members of so-called Foreign Legion, he's noted total lack of communications, lack of weapons, terrible UAF command, huge Ukrainian losses, and most mercenaries were defecting. Okay, but here we have some more information. Once lauded by the international media, a Canadian sniper known as Wally has returned from Ukraine to Quebec, telling local media that his experience there was a terrible disappointment. He claimed there was an inadequate weaponry, poor training, and heavy losses, as well as profiteering and desertion in the ranks. This Wally guy, he sounds like a Putin puppet. Kind of sounds like a Russian asset or a Putin puppet. This guy was widely celebrated by like all of the Twitter libs and all of the Redditors, and now they're going to disown him. They're going to be like, well, fuck you, Wally. When Wally answered Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's call in March and volunteered to fight for Ukraine, he was given lavish coverage by the Western media. A former Canadian soldier who had also volunteered to fight with Kurdish militants in Iraq, Wally was the best sniper in the world, celebrated by the American military bloggers for hilariously trolling Russia and praised by the New York Post for, quote, grabbing anti-tank missiles in a warehouse to kill real people. Yeah, let's just praise that. New York Post completely unhinged praising that. Okay, but he actually didn't. He didn't. However, he said that reality left him disillusioned. Back home in Quebec, Wally told La Presse on Friday that his Ukrainian commanders initially didn't know what to do with foreign fighters like himself. Tired of waiting for an opportunity to fight, Wally joined the Norman Brigade, a private unit led by another former soldier from Quebec. So now we've just got like random brigades and battalions that are led by like Westerners that are fighting in Ukraine because the Ukrainians don't even know what to do. However, several members of this brigade told La Presse that weapons and armor promised by the brigade's head never showed up. And some of its members found themselves near the front lines with no protective equipment. Around 60 members of the brigade have since deserted, its commander told La Presse, and some soldiers schemed to steal a $500,000 shipment of American-supplied weapons and form their own unit. Well, I just feel great as an American taxpayer. Tax day just passed. So happy to know that there's Canadians that are stealing my money in Ukraine right now in a U.S. proxy war. Wally eventually joined a Ukrainian unit fighting near Kiev and described having to seek out weapons, food, and gasoline. Quote, "You had to know someone who knew someone who told you that in some old barbershop they would give you an AK-47, he recounted. Even for the meals, it is often civilians who provide them. In the end, Wally said he ended up firing 2 bullets into windows to scare people and decided to come home shortly after 2 Ukrainian conscripts he was posted with in the Donbass region exposed themselves to a Russian tank and received highly accurate shell fire in return. Well, I told them not to expose themselves like that, but they weren't listening to me," he said. "I saw the shrapnel go by like lasers. My body tensed up. I couldn't hear anything. I immediately had a headache. It was really violent." Wally's not the only volunteer to have left Ukraine shortly after arriving to fight. On Reddit's Volunteers for Ukraine forum, potential recruits and those who are already in Ukraine swap advice, encouragement, and sometimes horror stories. One poster who allegedly survived a Russian missile strike on a training center for foreign recruits in March described how his commanding officers were sending untrained guys to the front with little ammo and shit AKs, and they're getting killed. The Reddit user said that he fled to Poland after the attack with a number of foreign veterans as, quote, "The Legion is totally outgunned as has a few crazy Ukrainian leaders. After the attack, one officer wanted to march everyone to Kiev and fight. Absolute insanity. Stay home." Other posters told similar stories involving unprepared recruits receiving several days training before being sent to the front with inadequate equipment. Ukrainian commanders, too, struggle to handle the influx of untrained foreigners, according to some of their assistants in Canada. And in April, Kiev's International Legion put a pause on recruitment. According to La Presse, however, some foreigners with relevant military experience are currently being put to use on special operations behind Russian lines. Okay, so what's interesting about all of this is that Wally was not the only major Canadian from his brigade that fled from Ukraine back to Quebec. Okay, we also know that his friend, his partner, was with him, and now he's back home and describing how him and Wally were instructed to assume positions at an apartment building and take out Russian soldiers. In less than 10 minutes, the building was hit by a Russian shell, which misses by 3 meters. Then their crew got hit by Russian snipers. Wally's partner in Ukraine says that the Western elite unit's missions basically consists of dragging dead bodies of their friends out of battlefields. He calls the war a total hell and carnage. Let's see what he has to say.
So, you've just come from roughly where? From the east?
We were in the Eastern Front, in the Donbass region.
What was that like?
I have one word to describe, and it's just hell.
One word to describe it, just hell. Well, that doesn't sound like the side of this conflict that is winning, right? If you're winning, which everyone in the Western press tells us the Ukrainians are winning, this doesn't really sound like they're winning.
Yeah, hell.
And why?
Because every day you're getting casualties. Every day you're getting your friends getting killed. And it's days after days. And most of the missions, actually, of my friends that they come from the Marines, from the States, it was just going to recover dead bodies of our friends that were killed in action from their previous patrol. So, yeah, it was life over there for us.
What has been your main job there?
For me, I was just used as a infantry soldier. Actually, I was paired up with the Canadian sniper Wally, so I was his teammate. So we were always together, and I was making sure to help him as much as I can, and I was always following him everywhere. I was carrying ammunition. So yes, mainly that was my main job over there.
Did you find yourself in direct contact?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
You want to take me through that? But you're not talking about just artillery. You're talking about direct contact.
So are we talking about just the east, or can I talk about?
You can talk about wherever you want. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, me and Wally's first missions in Irpian, it was to go into a apartment building and set up a sniper position from there. So we go up, we set ourselves, and then we start observing, and then maybe like 10 minutes after, it's like huge explosion. The building shakes, all the window breaks, and then I find myself on the ground, and I remember I said, what the hell is that? And then I just like crawl into like a safe room, you know? So
what I want to keep watching this because it's really interesting. I want to watch the full thing actually, but what's so interesting about this is it shows just the Russians had a lot of basically all militaries across the globe right now, major militaries have limited fighting experience because there hasn't been a lot of like conventional warfare, ground warfare between major militaries in recent years. The Russians do have far more than anyone else, far more recent experience because they were on the ground in Syria fighting against the Islamic extremists, fighting against, Al-Qaeda, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, Jaish al-Islam, al-Nusra. But then again, even most of the fighting there was done by, Russian-backed and Russian-Syrian aircraft. So the Russians are clearly very dominant in Ukraine. That's no surprise to anyone watching right now. But what I think is the surprise is just how unprepared the Ukrainian and foreign mercenaries were, okay? And you're hearing that from this individual who was with the Wally sniper in Ukraine.
We just got hit by a tank. He shelled the building just above us, he missed us by 3 meters. And then me and Wally, we meet in the room. And then after that, we started to get small arm fire to us. And then we got out of the building. And then after that, huge firefight. That was my first firefight. We had the Russians, they were 50 meters from us. Bullets flying everywhere. We could not do anything. And they actually tried to surround us, right? And at that point, we had one casualty. One of our friends got shot at the shoulder by a Russian sniper. So in his right hand, he was carrying his pistol, and then he was covering his wound like that, bleeding everywhere, and and he kept running and stuff. And then bullets flying everywhere. And then one of our Ukrainian friends said, all right, we have to get the hell out of it because we were not controlling the situation. We were the one that got into fire. So anyway,
we were not controlling the situation. We were the ones who were getting fired. So again, when you hear these things from the Pentagon, from the State Department, they're talking about the Russians doing shaping operations. This is the more detailed explanation of what shaping operations mean, okay? It means military superiority from the Russians.
It was total chaos, right? And then he shot, that guy saved our life. He shot RPG to the Russians, and it gives us enough time to just run for your life, right? And then I remember I was running, and then huge explosion just at my right. I think it was like mortar fire or something, bullet just flying, and then we had came with vans, like vans. So everyone get in the vans as soon as possible. So it was in the van. It was the guy that was shot, and then after that my friend Wally, and then after that me. But like we all had our kit on us, right? So for me, my right hand was holding the head panel of the passenger seat, and I was holding the other head panel, right? But we were too much in the van, so I couldn't close the door. So my back was outside the van, and I was holding like that. And that guy was driving like 100 kilometers in like a really residential street, right? And and then if I had left, I would just fall and just like fall on the ground. And then I had like the passenger guy was still shooting at them when we left. So and then we just it's a miracle, like we just made it out of there. But I mean, yeah, and that was our first patrol, our first mission. And then from there it just got worse. Yeah, that's what I would say.
So you just heard how terrible that was, and then he says from there it got worse, far worse. I mean, like, how this has got to be one of the biggest fabrications in global history, the lie that has been carried out by the West that the Ukrainians are winning, right? Even when you have Canadians that are coming back, and well-respected Canadians like Wally coming back and saying stuff like this.
How long ago were you in the East, in Donbass?
I would say about maybe 10 days ago. We did approximately 1 week there, because at first we were fighting in Irpin. Then after that, with our group, we freed the city from the Russian. And then me and Wally and our unit, we got sent to fight in the East. And then, yeah, in the East it was total different experience, because in Irpin it was mainly urban fighting.
No, I know this isn't Wally, but this is his friend. He was the one who was supplying Wally with munitions and supplies throughout the war. So he was with him the entire time. He was his like right-hand man throughout the entire operations that he was in Ukraine.
But in the East, it was like the vibe was like World War II. It's like rain, mud, fields, trenches. Yeah, and it was hard because there was an entire Russian tank regiment on the other side of the valley, but we could not really do anything because we only had we had one javelin with us, and actually Wally learned in 2 hours how to operate the javelin. And then just like that, we became a javelin operating crew, like me and Wally. So after that, we were always sent on missions with the javelin, right? But the tanks, they were too far away for us to engage with the javelin. So every time we would go out, they would just shoot at us. And then there was one morning. That one morning, me and Wally, we left. The mission was to go on a one-day mission, right? Like in the little forest, to observe. If tanks approach, we engage them with the javelin. So 5 o'clock, it's me and Wally. We walked there. We walked there. It was like 1.5 kilometers in the mud and stuff. And then we arrived on our position, and there was like a trench, and there were already two of our friends, Ukrainian, in the trench, right? So Wally looked at me and he said, "Hey, buddy, like, can you just stay in the trench? Like, you don't need to be outside." And I was like, "All right, man. You know, like, it's pretty boring to just sit in a trench when your buddy like is doing some work." But you know, I listened to him, and then I go in the trench, and then the two Ukrainian friends, they come out of the trench, right? And then Wally said to them, "Hey guys, go back in the trench," and they just did not listen, and they were just smoking just beside the trench and stuff. And then Wally went a little bit further to observe like the Russian tanks he could see with his binoculars. And then for me, what I remember is I was in the trench, and then I removed my helmet, right? And then I put it on the ground, and like the sun is coming out, and like, it's a pretty good day. Maybe I will go out and just like talk to my Ukrainian friends, right? So I'm about to come out. I put my first feet on the little step, and then it just happened. Huge explosion. So I fell in the trench on my back, and it just like in the movies, like in my ears, like ding, like that little sound. Then I'm like, what the hell? And then I get up. Then I understood what had happened. Like, we just got shot by a Russian tank, and it was like very precise shot. They could see us very good, right? They shot right between our two friends, and then I got up, I put back my helmet, and I look, I see one of my friends dead. Is not moving. He's not moving. He's just lying on the ground. He's dead. It's sure it's dead. Like, there's no way to survive that. And then I looked to the other one. He was like just a couple of feet from me, and then he was still breathing, but no legs. He didn't have any legs. And then we made eye contact. I looked at him. He looked at me. And then after that, his head just like started to move on his right, and you could see his body crisping and stuff. So he just like passed away in front of my eyes. So I was like, all right. So yeah, I just saw two of my friends die in front of my eyes. So and then after that, me and Wally. I mean, Wally saved my life on that day, because he told me to stay in the trench.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Now, okay. Like, imagine that times like 1,000, and that's what's happening all over Ukraine right now, and the media is still trying to tell you that Ukraine is winning. Like, that's what's happening right now. Holy shit. All right, let's keep watching.
But after that, me and Wally just got together. And then it's funny because Wally like was saying things like, "I wonder if I can get them with the javelin from here." And I was like, "Bro, we need to get the hell out of here. Like, there's nothing we can do. Like, we need to get out of here." And then he said, "Oh, I need to go get my sniper rifle." So he crawled back beside the trench. The tank shot once again at the same place. He received like shrapnel and stuff, but like it's fine. And then he,
you know what? And it was reported that Wally was killed in the first, and it was unconfirmed reports. They didn't confirm it. So this must have been it when there was unconfirmed reports that he was killed, and the Russians had to have known that it was Wally because they were the ones who were putting out these unconfirmed reports that he was killed. So they literally knew who they were targeting.
He took a look on the guys just to double check, but there was nothing. Like, they were both dead, right? So he grabbed his sniper rifle, and then he started running. And then we started to run, and then we heard the thing shooting again. And then we just went back to the base at that point. So yeah, that was my my last patrol on the Eastern Front.
Wow.
Why are you here?
So why? That's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question.
I'm here to help.
It is a good question. Why are you in Ukraine in the first place? You don't even have a Ukrainian that's leading your fucking brigade. You have a guy from Quebec that's leading a Foreign Legion brigade in Ukraine in a hot proxy war against Russia. Why the fuck are you even in Ukraine?
Yeah, right. I mean, the war started February 24th, and
The war started February 24th, and it's not like there has been a war going on for the past 8 years, and I decided to come out and fight. It's as simple as that. Putin is essentially Hitler, so I thought I would fight alongside the Nazis and fight them.
just could not stay at home watching on TV, because like most of the Western people, like, they see everything that goes in the news, and then they think, it's sad for them, but it's not here, so they just close the TV.
Bro, I literally told you guys at the start of I hadn't even watched this video yet. I literally told you guys at the start of this segment that the reason why these foreign legionaries are going to Ukraine to fight is because they're sitting at home all day playing Call of Duty and sitting on their couches eating potatoes. And this guy's literally like, well, I came here not because of Ukrainian lives or anything like that, but I see the news on my TV, and I thought, why not just get involved, on my own with. He's literally the fucking meme that I told you about, and he's like, I just thought it would be interesting.
TV, and then they go eat with their kids and just keep living their life. But for me, I just cannot do that. And then on February 20th,
listen, I on February 25th, I was reading this article in the Kiev Independent, and I thought, my God, I have to go to Ukraine right now and fight.
when the president, the Ukrainian president, made a public call for foreign fighters to come help him. I saw the call. It was Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I was in the plane on Monday at 1800 in the evening. I was on the plane on my way to Ukraine to help.
What do you think about the Ukrainians now that you've been fighting alongside them?
So they are total heroes. Like, there is no words to describe their courage.
The courage.
They are very good fighters, and
bro, literally, your buddy Wally said they're not good fight. Your buddy Wally, what did he say? Your buddy Wally said, and by the way, this dipshit's not even fucking fighting. He's just Wally's little buddy man, right-hand man that's giving him weapons and munitions, so Wally can try to be a war hero in this proxy war. But no, Wally even says that he said, well, first of all, he said, I told the Ukrainians not to expose themselves like that. They weren't listening to me. I saw the shrapnel go by like lasers. That was when the 2 Ukrainians died. They wouldn't listen to him. He said Ukrainian commanders didn't know what to do with foreign volunteers like himself. He said that you had to essentially know someone who knew someone who told you that in some old barbershop that would give you an AK-47. I don't know, buddy. It sounds like your friend Wally, who also said that UAF command was terrible, huge Ukrainian losses, most mercenaries defected, lack of weapons, lack of communications. Sounds like he really didn't think that highly of the Ukrainians. I don't know.
every single of them is ready to fight.
Some of you are saying that they're trained by NATO, so they're definitely not solid troops. Well, okay, so first of all, the Marines were their like top fighting force, and 1,062 Marines surrendered in the Donbass. They were like the first to surrender, and it was 162 of their officers surrendered as well. And then, and then even NATO's only trained 30 Ukrainian battalions up to NATO standards. So there's only 30 battalions that are trained in NATO. So then you have the entirety of the rest of the military that is not even trained to NATO standards. And then you have then you have all these foreign mercenaries, many of which, were just given 10 bullets. They gave them 10 bullets and said, go have fun. Here's 10 bullets. And they don't even know how to fight.
Until death, to save their country. So for us, we are lucky. We can always go back home and like try to live a normal life. But for them, no, like they can, like their home is the one at war, so that they don't have any choice to keep fighting, no matter what happens.
Speaking of back home, what do you say to your family? Vos famille.
I'm saying I am sorry for like all the stress that I am giving you, but I think I have a job to do here. I want to do my part. I want to help those guys. So yeah, I hope they understand.
Just one thing, it struck me because you wear the Canadian flag very proudly.
Oui.
Do you think Canada should be doing more?
Of course. Yes, sir. We are talking here about a country that has been invaded totally by an other country, right? And we are talking about civilians dying every day. In Mariupol, they had 10,000 civilians dying. 10,000 civilians dying. Like, I don't know if you realize, I was fighting in Irpin, and then we found...
Who's killing those civilians? Who's killing those civilians? Because everything that I've seen from civilians in Mariupol say that the Azov Nazis, the Banderites, the Azovites are the ones who are terrorizing their communities, destroying their city, abusing, harassing, torturing, and killing civilians, even those who are in hospitals, and holding civilians hostage in the Azovstal underground steelworks. It's terrible. You understand the courageous Azovites. They're such brave heroes. So brave in Mariupol. Fuck you.
Mass grave in Bucha, right? So I understand that Ukraine is not part of NATO, right? But my feel is that the world has let down Ukraine in a whole. Just using the excuse, okay, Ukraine is not part of NATO, so we will just like sit back and watch, and good luck. And I mean,
no, except you didn't stand back and watch and say good luck. You went to Ukraine, formed a quasi brigade of people from Quebec, and got your friends killed, and all for what? You can't even explain why you were there. They asked you why you were there, and you basically said, well, I saw the news coming in on my TV, and I realized that it was better for me to be there than be on my couch eating potato chips and playing COD all day. You couldn't even justify why your presence in a foreign country was warranted in a country that your nation hasn't even launched a military operation in. You just decided to go there. You didn't say, okay, we'll just watch you and good luck. No, you went there and you tried to kill people.
Just like to say thank you for like money, weapons and stuff. But at the end of the day, if NATO had stepped in, the war would have been done in like less than a week, right? And but
that's not what the Institute for Study of War says. They say Russia would win a war against NATO if it were to take place on Ukrainian soil.
Because everyone sit back and watch, well, we are seeing all those civilians die.
And be careful what you wish for. Be careful what's his name? We have to have a name for him. What's this guy's name? Be careful what you wish for. You really want NATO to be a part of this? You know there's a reason why NATO hasn't entered the arena yet. I can think of multiple reasons why they haven't entered the arena yet. Be careful what you wish for.
And now it's day one of the war and it's still not over. And even the President Zelensky himself, he said that the sanctions are not doing anything. Like, thank you for the sanctions, but it's not gonna stop the war. It's not gonna do anything. What do we need? We need boots on the ground. We need troops. We need to unite together and help Ukraine. That's what we need. Prayers, I'm sorry, but it doesn't do anything. Money, yes, it helps. Armaments, yes, it helps. But at the end of the day, the Ukrainians are let alone to fight against Russia. We let the Ukrainians fight alone. against Russia, and I cannot, I don't have any words for this. I'm just so, that's why I had to come here to help them, because I feel that the world had let down the Ukrainians.
Wow. Wow. That may have just been the most insightful analysis of what it looks like on the ground in Ukraine from a Western source that we have seen throughout the entire war in Ukraine. And it was glaringly obvious by his analysis that everything the Western media is telling us is a bunch of lies. Same with Wally, the world's best sniper. He also proved that the Western media is just lying to us, and all these Western politicians are lying to us. Not really a surprise when you look at their history, what they've said about Iraq, what they've said about Afghanistan, what they've said about the dirty war that they funded in Syria. Not really a surprise, but nonetheless interesting, and the first that we've seen of this kind. So happy to see that this information is getting out there, and that Wally and his friend wanted to express themselves as to what they experience in Ukraine. Hopefully more people see this and wake up to everything that's going on. Thanks for watching that episode of The Dive. If you'd like to support independent journalism, be sure to subscribe and consider becoming a member on my Patreon using the link below.